Welcome to Supply Chain Management. Before we start talking about supply chain management, let us understand what we need to know about the company we are doing a project on. So we start with mission, vision, and company strategy. You will need to know who the company is at present, where it wants to go in the future, how it will achieve that future vision, and finally, how they measure their degree of success. Corporate strategy must answer two important questions. Where will the company play and how will they win? How they win is part of your organizational level strategy, and where they will play is part of their growth strategy. Let's start with organizational level strategies, or answering the question, how will a company win? There are three possible options. First is a low cost option, a low cost strategy that competes on scale. This company is differentiated and very good at price. It offers the best value for money, and while the company offers good quality and a decent selection, it doesn't have to be the best quality, and the selection doesn't have to be the biggest and the widest range of selection. The company could compete on product or service leadership. In this case, the focus is on speed. The company is first to market and it's got the best quality. And this is the product or service leadership. The third option is on customer intimacy, where the company competes on scope. In this case, the company looks at a specific target market with specific set of needs and builds amazing customer services and really builds a strong relationship with the customer. Any company has to focus on one of these three to be the best in and be good in the other two. The second one we talked about was growth strategies. Where will we play? Here we can look at this quadrant where we look at current market or new markets. And then we look at products, whether you have new products or you're just going to use your current product. So if you have a current market and your product is current, we are looking at market penetration. This is mostly a safer strategy where you're taking less of a risk and you're trying to expand the market with the products that you already are in. The next strategy is to use your current product and go to a new market. This is a market development strategy, which is a lot more riskier than your market penetration strategy. If you have a new product, but you are marketing it to the current market, that's the product development strategy. And then finally, a new product to a new market, which is a diversification strategy, which is the riskier strategy. So you have from safe to risky. Remember, the higher the risk, the higher the returns. So where do we start when we study the company? We start with a SWOT analysis. This is called strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. You build your strengths, you shore up your weaknesses, you invest in new opportunities, and monitor your threats. Now, your strengths and weaknesses are internal to the company, and opportunities and threats are external to the company. There's often a big confusion on what is internal and what is external to the company. So here are some examples of internal. The executives, the board, employees, customers, key performance indicators. These are all internal to the company. And external is mega trends, the actual industry markets, the competitors are external. So it's very important when you do this to not confuse between internal and external. To analyze some of the external forces, we might want to use the 5 forces model. The 5 forces model looks at the existing competition, and so it's important to identify who your main competitors are. It also looks at the effect of whether you can have new entrants to the market, the threat of new entrants. More new entrants, if it's easy for people to enter the market, the harder the competition becomes, and it intensifies the competition. You can look at the bargaining power of the buyers. Again, more bargaining power the buyers have, the more it increases the difficulty to the company. So the internet has increased the bargaining power of the buyers with respect to the company, because the buyers can now go and shop elsewhere. They are not geographically constrained. The threat of substitutes of products or services. If, for example, the customer can move to a different product or service, if your product is not available, a completely different one, that again intensifies the competition. And finally, the bargaining power of suppliers. The more bargaining power they have, the weaker your position is in this. So the 5 forces model might be a good way to analyze some of the external opportunities and threats. The next area we should look at is the company's product portfolio. This could be the entire company's product portfolio or the division you're studying. Using the group of products a company has, we can use the BCG matrix or the growth share matrix to analyze these products. The growth share matrix is, to put simply, a portfolio management framework that helps companies decide how to prioritize their different businesses or products. It is a table split into 4 quadrants, each with its own unique symbol that represents a certain degree of profitability. Question marks, pets, are often represented as dogs, stars, and cash cows. By assigning each product to one of these 4 categories, company managers could then decide where to focus their resource and capital to generate the most value, as well as where to cut their losses. The growth share matrix was built on the logic that market leadership results in sustainable superior returns. Ultimately, the market leader obtains a self-reinforcing cost advantage that the competitor finds difficult to replicate. These high growth rates then signal which markets have the most growth potential. The matrix reveals 2 factors that companies should consider when deciding where to invest. Company competitiveness, which is given in the relative market share, and market attractiveness, which is given in growth rate. Each of the 4 quadrants represent a specific combination of relative market share and growth. Low growth and high share is called cash cows. Companies should milk the cash cows for cash for reinvestments. High growth rate and high market share are stars. Companies should significantly invest in these stars as they have high future growth. High growth rate but low market share are question marks. Companies need to decide whether they want to invest in these question marks to move them to stars or divest depending upon their chances of becoming stars. And finally, low market share and low growth. Companies should look to liquidate, divest, and reposition these products. So once we did the product portfolio, now it's time to actually identify the product and give some details about the product. So the first thing is, what is the product you're studying? What is its price? Where is it used? What is the demand like? Who is the main competition? Are there any substitutes for the product? What kind of raw materials are needed? And who's the main customer for this product? Once we give the company overview and we have an idea of the company strategy, the competitive strategy, we can then get into product development strategy, marketing and sales strategy, and supply chain strategy. In this class, we will be focusing on supply chain and supply chain strategy and the fit between supply chain strategy and your competitive strategy. All functional strategies must support each other and the supply chain strategy.